into the United States. So we have our theme question. What makes the central region special? Now, in order to understand the theme question, what is central? Center. What's another one? The middle. Okay, what did we talk about last time when we were talking about the United States? The Atlantic states. So we're moving in. We were on the Atlantic states, which is the east coast, and now we're moving into the central states. Okay? And I think we'll continue progressing across it. So what makes the central region special? Now we had the Atlantic states, they bordered the ocean. Do you think their way of making a living was different than what the central states are?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going out fishing on the ocean if we live in the central states, are we? Okay? And specifically this week, we're focusing on focus question number 1. What is focus question number 1, Ray? Will you read it out loud?
How are geography and economy connected in the Midwest?
Okay, what is geography, if we're talking about the geography of an area?
Land and water.
Okay, the land and water features. Okay, and economy? What's my thing for economy?
How they make money.
How they make money, right? So, going on to the vocabulary, okay, a basin. I'll read you the book definition for basin. I know we covered it yesterday or got into it, that and the next one, which is landform, but I want to go through them because I think we had some misunderstanding. So, basin, here's the book definition. A basin is all the land that is drained by a river and the streams that run into that river. Okay? So, if we were looking at it, if we're looking at it from above, bird's eye, right? Okay, if this is a river and it flows into the ocean, does everybody see that? Horrible drawings, right? Okay. Now, if there are mountains up here, okay, valleys over here, all of the little streams and all the rain and everything runs into that main river. Do we agree? So this entire area that has the runoff is the basin. So any rainstorms, we saw it in the video yesterday. Remember there was a rainstorm in the desert 100 miles away in the mountains of the desert, and it ran, and so all that water that goes into that main river channel, that's the river basin. Now go.
The Midwest history and culture.
Okay. Ready? I want to see you tracing with the fingers so I know you're with me. Books on your desks. Thank you. The Midwest, history and culture. The history and culture of the Midwest connect in many ways to its geography. The first people to live in the Midwest were Native Americans. Some Native Americans, thank you, just checking, farmed on the rich soil of the Great Plains. Others moved from place to place to hunt the bison called buffalo that grazed on the land. Does that strike close to home?
Yeah.
Okay. Did we have bison buffalo that roamed free in our land? New settlers to the Midwest. By the early 1600s, Europeans began coming to the Midwest. Most were French and British. They explored the area and set up trading posts. They traded tools and weapons with Native Americans in exchange for furs. Later, Europeans built settlements in these areas. What did they trade? Tools and weapons. What were they trading for? They wanted furs. Why do you think they'd want furs? Maybe to build houses, because we know Native Americans use them. Clothing, houses, two great uses, right? Could you build a lot of other things out of them as well? Yeah, blankets, that kind of stuff. Okay? Continuing on. In 1803, the United States brought or bought? Bought a lot of land from France in an agreement known as the Louisiana Purchase. This is huge, right? Huge concept. Most of the Midwest was part of the Louisiana Purchase. President Thomas Jefferson sent Meriwether Lewis and William Clark to explore the new area. Why are those two names familiar? We hear them as Lewis and Clark, right? We don't typically say their first names when we learn about them. But Lewis and Clark. How many of you are familiar with Lewis and Clark? Show of hands. DeMarc, will you read the caption near the map?
The Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the United States.
Okay, so let's look at that map. Where United States at that time? And what year are we talking? Who can tell me what year? 1803. Where is the United States? Everybody put a finger on the United States. Look at the key. The green. Is that how big the United States is now?
No.
Okay. Now find the Louisiana Purchase. What color is the Louisiana Purchase?
Pink.
The red. So it doubles the size of the United States. Does everybody see that? You know those green, that green area? Did we learn about that already? Think of that green area.
Yeah.
What states are those?
Louisiana.
What states, Miles? The Atlantic states. So all are like. What do you notice the difference in this picture on 269 and 268?
This one looks old-fashioned.
Okay, so when is that? Back in the past. Do we agree? And what does this picture on 269 look like?
New.
New. So what do you think the difference in the reading is going to be? Now we're talking about the present where we were talking about the past. See how you can use the pictures? Okay. The Midwest way of life. The Midwest was prospering. People from many groups took part in settling the Midwest. Prospering. The Midwest was prospering. Okay? And if we're talking about the Midwest prospering, we're talking people coming in, groups settling. What word is that close to that we just talked about? Flourishing. Prospering. Flourishing. Okay? So they would be synonyms for each other, which means growing, doing well. Okay? What was a land form? Natural, like hills, mountains, riverbanks, that kind of stuff. A landmark is someplace worth seeing in an area. Okay? Like Mount Rushmore is a famous landmark. This arch is a famous landmark. It's a place that you definitely want to see if you go visit that area. But it's not a land form. Definitely. Would you want to go see that if you were in that area?
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay? But it's not a land form. Don't confuse the two. Okay? So, let's go back. Remember we have the posters to do our theme questions and how this reading helped us answer the theme question and specifically the focus question for the week. And we'll talk about those in a minute. Okay? So, let's look back. Theme question. Gabriel, will you read that for us? I know it's hard to see in the blue today.
What makes the Central Region special?
Okay, so we've talked about some Central Region geography and economy. What makes the Central Region special so far? Maybe the landforms. Now, what landforms did we talk about? Because we can't say all the landforms and all the landmarks and all the money.
Gateway Arch.
Okay, the Gateway Arch is a landmark. Okay, so if we're talking about landforms, what landform specifically does the Central Region have? Bill? What makes the entire region important, special? What makes it stand out so far is what we're asking. And remember, this theme question is over 4 weeks. So I'm expecting you to come up with a few answers now, but you're not going to answer the entire question today. Isaiah.
History and culture.
The history and culture. What about the history of this area?
How it flourished.
Okay? Tell me specifically some of the things that happened in history, some of the events. Get the railroad. Huge, isn't it? Without the railroad, what wouldn't be happening?
Trains that could transport.
Okay, we wouldn't have us out here probably. But isn't it transporting people, transporting goods? Do you think the railroad was important to our region or to the Central Region?
Yep.
Yeah. What else? The Louisiana Purchase. Hands down. Okay? We didn't own this area. The entire Central Region wasn't ours as the United States until the Louisiana Purchase. So do you think that's important? Okay. Focus question. Monica, read it please. Question 5-1.
Okay. How are geography and economy connected in the Midwest?
Okay, so we talked about the geography. And we talked specifically at the beginning, is it all ocean land?
No.
Okay, so what is the difference? What's the geography like in the Central Region now? First off, if they're planting crops, what does the land have to be like?
Like
Plains,
good soil.
good soil. And What makes good soil?
Water.
The water, so they have the river going through, the Mississippi River, good plains. What was our vocab word that really focuses on good water in an area? Basin, not basin, basin, right? All the watershed coming into an area that creates good soil. So it's a lot different region than the oceanfront property on the East Coast. And economy, how do you think money was made so far? All right. Rotations. My intensive group, you're on the computers, and the pages will be up. You're reading differentiated readers, pages 6 through 17. My strategic, you're back there with me with your diff readers, page 6 through 17. And my benchmark, you are independent reading. Now remember we talked, you can't do your poster work at the beginning of your independent reading time if you haven't done diff readers yet. So just hold off on that and we'll get to it.